Hi, I'm Craig Power with Power Realty Advisors, and today we are talking about renting an off-campus apartment near Boston University. I have a lot to say on this, and the idea behind this video is just to show you the ropes. I've always wanted some sort of reference point for any rental clients I've had in the BU area over the years. I've been working in the BU rental market for since I started in real estate, probably less so now than ever. But I always remember thinking, I wish I put together a video just to answer some frequently asked questions on this stuff. So whether you are a student renter yourself, maybe you are transferring from a distance, from far away, maybe you're a parent trying to understand this whole rental market, from 1,000 miles away, that has to be a little shocking. So I always wanted to put this video together and again, answer some frequently asked questions, just be upfront about the good and the bad that goes into this. And then, the BU rental market, it can be messy, it can be frustrating for the renter, and it's just a really unique mini market in real estate is what I've found. Yeah, and to give you some background, I began my real estate career in the rental and property management side of the business. I've probably rented over, 100 BU apartments specifically. In fact, I'm sure I have over the years. So I know this little mini market very well. I didn't go to BU, my grades weren't good enough, but I do eat at Tate a lot still, which I've heard is a very big part of the BU experience. So, maybe someday my YouTube channel really blows up and I get that honorary BU degree I've been waiting for. If you're on our YouTube channel, you might see that most of our videos are geared toward first-time home buyers. This is not one of those videos. So this is really geared toward the undergraduate, rental market in and around Boston. When I started our brokerage, I developed this sort of mission statement, which sounds super corny now that I'm saying it out loud, but the idea was to do rentals with a higher level of customer service. And yeah, that sounds super pretentious and it makes me want to slap myself in the face saying it here. Rental agents in Boston, they get a bad rap. They really might not always deserve it, but I do find that there is a huge customer service component missing from the Boston rental market, okay? People flat out don't know what to expect, which is probably part of the reason you're here watching this video. If you're here about questions on the lease itself, I'm looking to do a separate video where I do spend a little bit more time and get into our sample lease, more of a deep dive, get into the weeds with you a little bit. But it's a good time to mention I'm not a lawyer either. So any explanation is really intended to just be sort of bird's eye view, if that helped. You get into the fine print. You don't want me going over that stuff. But first, so let's get started here. What defines a student-friendly apartment, okay? Did you know that students are not a protected class in the eyes of fair housing law, undergraduate students? So that means a private landlord can actually say, no, I don't take students. They obviously cannot discriminate on the basis of sex, race, marital status, but when it comes to students, they can say, no, I don't take students. Around BU and other Boston schools, the way the market reacts is any student-friendly buildings close to campus are far and away mostly students. You have a lot of buildings in Alston that are student-friendly that are 100% made up of student renters. And it's actually a similar effect in certain areas. You could see it in certain parts of Boston with pets. Believe it or not, a lot of property managers aren't dog friendly. So the buildings in those areas that are dog friendly, they're like kennels. They're full of dogs. Every single unit has a dog in it. They're full of them. When a student is renting an apartment though, the process is a little different, and I'll throw up our student rental application here for you to see. So take your average working adult. Take me, for example. If I go to rent an apartment, they're gonna look at my employment, get a credit report. Okay, Craig, you make this much money per year, even though you are a 33-year-old man that listens to Rush, you're approved to rent this apartment. So, students clearly cannot be expected to show the same level of income for these apartments. They aren't qualified on their own. So for any student renter or individual with less than 1 year of professional employment, we ask for a guarantor. A guarantor is a cosigner. Let me show you what our company's guarantor form looks like. Every company has a different one. They're different, but they're the same, right? All asking for the same information. So to give you an idea, Landlords in the Boston area often will not rent to students or many young professionals without a financially capable guarantor for each applicant. So if you're renting a 4-bedroom apartment, all 4 students need to provide their own guarantors. We will run credit on the guarantor as well, because the student's credit kind of doesn't matter, right? For most students, chances are the guarantors are paying for it. The landlords aren't worried about the student's money. It's the guarantor's money they're concerned with. As soon as you're applying, we are asking for electronic copies of these guarantor forms. We actually ask for originals later too. That's a whole thing, and I hate to say it, but what happens here is the process takes forever. One of the parents doesn't get it, 1 out of the 4, right? It's happening too fast, or it wasn't explained to them the right way, and the group might miss out on the apartment they want because a lot of the students are looking at the same apartments at the same time. They go fast. Which brings us to the question, when do BU students actually rent their apartments? First, let me begin with the lease term. So I'd say 99.9% of our leases begin on September 1st and end on August 31st the following year. Some of our landlords, 2 that I work with specifically right now, have cut that off at August 28th or 29th to give themselves more time to prepare for new tenants on September 1st. But the busy time to shop for an apartment, if you're a BU student, is way in advance. I'm talking December, January, February, months in advance. I can bring up a few apartment ads just to give you an idea, because we have these posted right now, and of course, you know, they're listed for September 1st. Now is the busy time in this market. So, you know, I'm helping a few groups of BU renters right now, and they're looking at, of course, apartments for fall 2021. Right off the bat, this is a pretty crazy thing about the rental market. We have students securing apartments literally 9 or 10 months in advance of moving in September 1st. For rental agents, the busy time is, you know, either December before winter break, the end of January once winter break ends, and early February. This year may be different with the pandemic, so if you're seeing this in the future, you know, I don't know if the market has changed. You can always just reach out to me and ask, and I'm a straight shooter, I promise you. I think it will be slightly slower this year, maybe a slower burn than years past, but it's absolutely true. Most of the prime off-campus apartment options are accounted for by mid-February, and naturally, the better deals get rented quicker, okay? I guess the only way I would hedge that statement is if stuff is sitting on the market too long, the landlords are forced to, or would be wise to drop the rents a little bit, try to get more aggressive. But seriously, you know, the better deals seem to get rented quicker. Hypothetical situation here. So let's say you are a group of student renters and you found a place that you want. You know, how do you go about renting it? What deposits are required up front? So here, this is a sample deposit form I can show you. This should outline the payments that you're gonna be making here. And obviously this changes property to property, but people, you know, we have them fill this out when they apply and submit their applications. So in this example, you'll pay a first month's rent deposit with your application. Other payments could be last month's rent, security deposit, lock and key fee, and broker's fee. We'll talk about broker's fee in a minute, hot topic. I can tell you our brokerage collects these on a 30-day payment schedule. First month's rent at the time of application and remaining payments later. Again, I'm recording this in January 2021, so for any deal I'm doing now, first month's rent represents September 2021 rent. Last month's rent represents August 2022 rent, and so on. If you don't mind, let's talk about broker's fees and the role of real estate agents in this little mini economy. So small and big time landlords, you know, of student-friendly apartments, they don't do showings. They employ real estate agents to manage the rental process. I suppose some big time landlords may have in-house staff that does this, but really they are employing third-party real estate agents to get the rentals done. Today, and for however many years in the past, the model is that the renter pays the fee in Boston with all the demand, okay? Now, this is shifting a little bit. If you're watching this video years from now, you're gonna have to check back in with me. Right now, there is a little bit of a shift. again, pandemic economy, some of my landlords are definitely more open to paying the fee themselves that there have ever been. That's definitely true. I do have some landlords paying the fee for September 1st apartments in January. I really didn't see that happening anytime soon, so that's a little crazy to me. But again, if you're watching this in the future, you'll have to check back in with me. The reason I'm bringing this up is to say, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to pay a broker's fee, okay? I paid one once when I was 25. I hated it. I'm still mad about it, so I sympathize. I know I wouldn't want to pay one, but that has been sort of the preferred model in Boston for some time. New York, famously last year, changed their rules around broker's fees overnight. I can show you the article here, actually. This has been discussed in Boston. You know, at the time of this video, it definitely has not taken effect. If I'm being honest, I have heard the landlord perspective on this. They say if the rules change, they can just raise the rent to cover it. So if the rent was $3,000 without the landlord paying a fee, now they'll just raise the rent to $3,250 and pay the fee, $3,000, and now everyone's back to even. It's more complicated than that. That's an oversimplification, but landlords know how to organize. And if there ever was a change like that, they wouldn't take it lying down. Landlords have a lot of the leverage in this particular rental market. When it's hot, it's like the Wild West. You know, you got applications from groups going all over the place. And you know, for me, it can be really hard to manage expectations, right? This is way inside baseball for the Boston rental industry. But my goal here again is transparency. So, you know, when somebody hands us their application and a $3,000 check, they want to know whether or not they got the apartment right away. And we can't always confirm it right away. It's not just that the market is really active and the same place may have gotten rented by another agency. That's not even really it. It's more that a good landlord or property manager does their due diligence. They almost always come back looking for more information, whether it's, hey, a new guarantor for this person, or this person has something on the credit report. Can you ask them about that? Okay, sounds good. I'll take a look at it in a day or two. That's how it goes. Now, this is where I criticize other brokers, okay? This is the big sell, and I'm not criticizing all of them, all right? So mostly, you know, our competition in the rental industry around here is good agents. But some brokers are unnecessarily shady, not super forthcoming with information, and way too content to get a bad review later if it means a quick buck now. Some of it is trickled down from the landlords. Some of it is pure inexperience, but there is some of that out there to be aware of. I like to think our landlords, at least, that we work with, you know, we sort of work with a more exclusive list that our people I know will deliver on their end once we sort of hand our renters off to them. Doesn't mean we're without error. Doesn't mean every deal is as smooth as silk. All I can say is that we're transparent and we're straight shooters through the whole thing, right? Moving on. So let's take a look at the map and let's ask the question, where do BU students want to live? Okay, I've sort of broken it down into 3 areas. The reason I've done that, I don't know if students really think of it this way. I sort of organize it this way because this is where the prices, like the location, is reflected in the price a little bit. So I can tell you most of our apartments are in one of 3 neighborhoods: BU South off Beacon Street and Park Drive, BU West in Brookline, and BU West in Alston. So BU South is close in proximity to a few landmark BU buildings, Questrom, CAS or CAS, whatever the kids are calling it. The communications building there, that's over here. So then BU West in Brookline and Alston. Brookline is consistently more expensive than Alston. It's a quieter suburban feel compared to Alston. By the way, if you're new to this, BU campus is all scattered through here. So what's the price of an apartment near BU? I won't go through specific pricing here because if someone watches this video 2 years from now, it could be completely different. And again, managing expectations, that's what I'm all about. But BU South seems to be slightly more expensive than BU West in Brookline, which is definitely more expensive than BU West in Alston. Hope you can follow that statement. Big pro tip on pricing: it's cheaper per person to rent a 4-bedroom than a 3-bedroom. It is cheaper per person to rent a 3-bedroom than a 2-bedroom. The most expensive way to live is to live alone. So the more roommates you have in an apartment generally means a better price per bedroom. We often get questions on safety. With this being a student rental market, we get questions about safety in certain neighborhoods. Believe it or not, as real estate agents, we're not supposed to comment on safety statistics or safety in certain areas. You know, you say the wrong thing and it can be construed as a violation of fair housing law. They are concerned with redlining or block busting or scare tactics. So I like to stay away from those statements for that reason. However, what I can say is no matter where you live, you should make sure that your landlord has lights in, lobbies and driveways. Make sure you're letting them know if any building gate or lock isn't securing properly. All very important. I know I keep saying it's a unique rental market with students conducting an apartment search 9-10 months in advance. For that same reason, you should be aware that there are very early lease renewal deadlines built into your lease. So they're gonna come around, a property manager, any property manager worth their salt is gonna come around in November or December while you're living there, and they're gonna say, hey, we wanna make sure you're renewing for next year beginning September 1st, okay? That's really tough, planning 9-10 months in advance for the following year. It's especially hard with, let's say you have a 4-bedroom apartment, 3 people want to stay, 1 person wants to live elsewhere. Now you have to find someone to take their place, and again, way in advance. That's the hard part. Lastly, September 1st in Boston. What's move-in day like? It totally sucks. So last year I did a video with Megan Barker, another local real estate agent, where we talked about moving into your Boston apartment on September 1st, the trials and tribulations that go with that. We make no false representations. It is truly a struggle. We have a ton of apartments turning over, all within a 24-hour period. They all need to get flipped and inspected. It's a major bandwidth issue. In summary, I hope this video has shed some light on BU off-campus housing for students and what you can expect. If you're a BU student and you're just looking out there for the best possible apartment at the best price, my advice is to start looking early, not just online, but seeing places in person. Clarify your roommate situation, loop in all your guarantors, and get everyone on the same page. And then from there, the most important thing is get a real estate agent with a clue. You can find my contact information here in the video or in the description below. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for our video going through the sample lease, the Power Realty Advisors leasing paperwork page by page. That will be answers to a lot of common leasing questions, good info for later in the rental process. So I can't stress this enough. We're always here to either help you rent an apartment or just to answer questions. So please feel free to contact me anytime. Have a great day.